Republican Rep. Nancy Mace has filed a bill to ban transgender individuals from using the bathrooms of the opposite biological sex. This story is actually fairly crazy. It starts with a transgender member of Congress, or a transgender individual winning a seat in Congress, Sarah McBride, who is biologically male but identifies as a woman. Nancy Mace said, "I am not going to allow someone who is male to use female single-sex spaces in Congress." Introduces a bill, causes a lot of controversy with the left, and then death threats come in. A crazed individual makes numerous threats against Nancy Mace. She reported this to the Sergeant at Arms. Hopefully this individual is brought to justice. Now, following all the hubbub, Nancy Mace has doubled down, now introducing a bill that will ban individuals from using opposite sex facilities on all federal property across the country, the extent to which the federal government can regulate this. So it's massive. We do have the bill in question, and the reaction from the left is cringe. I think they're going to lose this one. And this is a big deal. Now, my friends, for a while, I was very much in the moderate position where, I had said the argument is, and I hate to single out friends and people that I know, but there are trans people that we know that we're friends with. And I said, look, some of these people are passing, and it would be weird if an individual who is passing that people would just assume is female is in the male room. It might cause more of an issue. So a 5'3" individual who's male, but no one really knows, like, I've changed my opinion on this. People like to bring up Blair White and Buck Angel. Blair White to most people just appears to be female. Why would Blair be in the men's room? Buck Angel looks like just a dude with a beard and everything. That person in the women's room? Well, there's been a response to this. And the response is, while it is difficult, it exemplifies the male-female difference. An individual on testosterone who is bulked up, massive with a beard, people are concerned about that person being in the women's spaces. It really is about, as the left would describe it, power dynamics. It's funny how they abandon these principles and this ideology the moment it challenges their cult. But let's do this. Let's start by reading the New York Post story. Nancy Mace doubles down, introduces bill to ban transgenders from female bathrooms in all federal property. Now, I got to clarify. It's not just about females. If a biological female wants to be a man, would also not be able to go in that men's room. That's my understanding. So let's read. South Carolina GOP Rep. Nancy Mace doubled down on her push to prohibit trans women from utilizing female private spaces on Capitol Hill by introducing legislation to bar it on all federal property, even as she claims critics are threatening to kill me over the issue. And that's claims. The videos are all widely public. They're nuts. Mace, 46, announced the Protecting Women's Private Spaces Act on Wednesday to restrict individuals from accessing or using single-sex facilities on federal property other than those corresponding to their biological sex. So that would ban females who want to use male spaces. Oh, you thought threatening me would silence me? No. I just doubled down and filed a new bill to protect women and girls across the entire country on all federal property everywhere. Now, why did she say that? No man is concerned about Buck Angel. No male is concerned so that a female taking testosterone who's bulked up with a beard, no man's concerned about that. They're still more concerned about a large man. So guys, go to the bathroom, you do your thing, you get out. Females, less bone, lighter bone density, less muscle mass, less skin collagen, less typically shorter. They are concerned about biological males who tend to be larger, more muscle mass, even if they're on estrogen or other kinds of have undergone other kinds of surgery or medical intervention. That all makes sense. It's why we don't see females competing in male sports. It's why when we had that story about that female wrestler who identifies as a man threatening an MMA fighter, nothing ever comes of it. Because no male is concerned about a female taking testosterone because she still will not be able to compete against the male. And I mean no disrespect to anybody, but this is reality. Her bill comes on the heel of a political firestorm after Mace demanded House Republicans ensure women's space be protected amid the arrival of Rep-elect Sarah McBride of Delaware, the first ever openly transgender woman elected to Congress, i.e. male. Mace demanded GOP leadership keep women's spaces in the Capitol reserved for biological women during a caucus meeting this week and introduce the resolution to that effect. Do women have rights or not is the question at the end of the day. Mace told the Daily Wire's Michael Knowles, are we going to allow these men to bully us into submission? I say no. Democrats have roundly condemned her and tried to defend McBride, even as some say they have privately fretted that the GOP attack ads over liberal transgender policies may have harmed them politically in the 2024 election. Let's pull up this bill before we and I want to pull up this bill and show you. It's true. Democrats are on the ropes. Nancy Mace not only knows that she's likely going to win, but she knows that Democrats may abandon the issue outright, which is going to push the GOP bill over the edge, because which Democrat is going to want to get behind this? Now, before I pull up this bill, head over to castbrew.com. Pick up your Rise with Roberto Jr. whole bean or ground. We also have coffee pods. And if you still want to get Mr. Boca's pumpkin spice experience while it lasts, we do have the pods available. It has been discontinued because Mr. Bocas passed on, and we will be launching a in memoriam espresso blend for him at some point. For the time being, we are just selling what's left. So check out our coffee pods at castbrew.com, support the show, become a member at timcast.com to support our work directly. Here's the bill from Rep. Nancy Mace. What's fascinating here is that it also defines male and female federally. H.R. blank. To prohibit individuals from accessing or using single-sex facilities on federal property other than those corresponding to their biological sex and for other purposes. A bill, which explains the same thing, says, in general, notwithstanding any other provision of law except as provided in the subsection C, no person may access or use a single-sex facility on federal property other than those corresponding to the biological sex of such a person. Definitions. It says, single-sex facility means a space intended for the use of one biological sex, male or female, including, a restroom, locker room, or changing room. The term federal property means any building, land, or other real property owned, leased, or occupied by any department, agency, or instrumentality of the U.S., or any other instrumentality wholly owned by the United States, or by any department or agency of the District of Columbia, or any territory or possession of the U.S. Biological sex means the biological determination as to whether an individual is male or female, as such terms are defined in this section. Female means an individual who naturally has, had, will have, or would have, but for a developmental or genetic anomaly or historical accident, the reproductive system that at some point produces, transports, and utilizes eggs for fertilization. The term male means an individual who naturally has, had, will have, or would have, but for developmental or genetic anomaly or historical accident, the reproductive system that at some point produces, transports, or utilizes sperm for fertilization. Exception. This prohibit in subsection A shall not apply with respect to emergency medical personnel responding to a medical emergency, law enforcement officers in active pursuit of a suspect or as part of an active investigation. It's well thought out. Nancy Mace is going to win this one. Democrats are backing off. There's already, I don't know if I actually have this one pulled up. I might. There's a, do I have it over here? Here we go. Dave Weigel tweets, at a post-election DSCC briefing with winning Democrat candidates, Alyssa Slotkin, quote, I personally think that identity politics needs to go the way of the dodo. Dems should take language not from the faculty lounge, but from the assembly line. With all of these Democrats now realizing that Trump's attack ads against Kamala Harris, where she promised sex changes for inmates, they realize it was effective. They are not going to want to muster up any defense of what we're witnessing. Of these biological males who want to go in women's spaces. This may be not just the end of males going in women's bathrooms, but it may be the end of males competing on women's sporting teams, as one could argue these restrictions would create an umbrella effect surrounding women's sporting events. Now, it's only pertaining to federal property, so there will still be state level issues at play. I believe that's the extent to which Nancy Mace could extend this bill. I wonder, however, if it's possible to extend this beyond just Congress or federal buildings. I wonder if perhaps she heard from Hotep Jesus, who last night said her bill is wrong and I'm offended by it because it only protects her. It's only protecting congressional bathrooms. What about everybody else? Interesting question. Well, Nancy Mace is not trying to interfere with the states, only federal property, and kind of respectable. Limit the powers in the federal scope. We'll see. The question now becomes, will any Democrat try to get behind the opposition to this? Or are they all going to say, look, I don't want the smear campaigns, because in 2026, if you defy Nancy Mace right now, and Nancy knows this, they will all run these ads against you saying that you wanted men in little girls' bathrooms. And of course, the left is going to say it's not about men and little girls. No, it's women's. Doesn't matter. That's what the narrative will be, and you will lose. I'll leave it there. Smash that like button. Share the show with everyone you know. Become a member over at timcast.com to support our work. Thank you all so much for hanging out. More segments coming up on the hour. We will see you all then.